We are indeed rabbits in plague proportions around the state. We spoke to Biosecurity Tasmania last week. Calicivirus has been in short supply, but we have it now. There are plans to release it, but conditions have to be right. You don't want young rabbits getting infected. They can develop immunity. And you don't want to release it when it's wet. It needs to be dry. But when that happens, we'll be ready to go. Until then, from West Hobart to Deloraine, to Hobart's Domain, the rabbits are everywhere.
I've lived here for 46 years, and this is by far the worst I've ever seen it.
Got to be careful that they're not actually stepping into holes and rolling ankles, and yeah, it's just very destructive.
Been told by the authorities that it's our responsibility. How can I manage to have the money to re-fence all my land, and you block up a hole and they come straight under the fence again?
The high street in Buffalo is just like a rabbit farm.
High Street in Buffalo is like a rabbit farm at the moment. And of course, it's interesting and challenging if you're worried about your local environment, or difficult if you're worried about, the place that you recreate. But if you're a farmer, I'd imagine you're dealing with the financial implications as well for your livelihood. Nathan Calman is the CEO of TasFarmers. He's going to join us in just a moment to talk about how farmers are coping at the moment and how badly farmers want to see a release of Calicivirus. Nathan Calman, good morning to you.
Good morning, Leon. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. Nathan, how would you describe rabbit numbers your members are dealing with at the moment?
There's definitely been an exploded population over the last couple of years, and I think our members are, incredibly frustrated with, the means that they have to respond to those and protect their properties.
So what impact is that having on farmers, Nathan?
It has huge impacts on farm biosecurity. So that impacts, damage to crops, pastures, and it also means that, weeds and other undesirables can often take hold on properties as well.
Am I right? It's sort of expected that landholders would, whatever the landholder is expected to manage the rabbit populations on their own property.
Yeah, that's right. So landholders have a biosecurity duty, for the lands that they manage. But I guess where they're restricted is the means that they have to help control rabbit populations.
I would imagine shooting is the main method of controlling rabbit populations. Is that correct?
That's correct. Biosecurity controls are probably the most effective, but, they are only fit for purpose at certain times of the year. So shooting, in between those periods makes up a very important element of, the farmer's toolbox and what they can do.
And typically, is that farmers doing it themselves, or are they using contract shooters? There's an amazing incident of YouTube channels at the moment where contract shooters are filming themselves doing it and doing it all around Australia. I mean, how popular is getting contractors onto your property to control rabbit numbers?
It's definitely something that's available to producers, but of course it comes with a cost as well. So many producers in the state are under financial stress, so they'll often have to resort to shooting themselves. I guess what we would like to see is, we've been calling for 15 years now for both governments in Tasmania to consider the use of sound suppressors for crop protection purposes, because we know that that can really increase the effectiveness of a shooter's ability on any given day.
Because the animals are less likely, or the animals that are being targeted are less likely to disperse with the sound of whether it's an air pellet or a 22 or whatever round coming at them.
Exactly, that's right. So it doesn't increase the risk to public safety, but what it does do is mean that a shooter can potentially remove a tenfold increase in animals on any given day. And, that would bring our laws, I suppose, into the same sort of operating state as the UK or New Zealand, where suppressors are permitted for crop protection purposes.
Nathan, I hear this argument, and I suppose it's a separate conversation in some ways and directly connected in others. The concern is, of course, that those suppressors get into the wrong hands and could be used for bad purposes. If we have them more commercially available, when they get stolen, and we've seen plenty of incidents of firearm thefts on farms in years past, particularly, they'll get into the wrong hands, and so we say no.
Yeah, that's definitely one side of the argument. I think, other jurisdictions have implemented controls to make sure that they don't get into the wrong hands and that, they're a tool for producers that need them, not necessarily widely available. And I think that's what we're calling for here. It's part of the solution, not the whole solution.
And Nathan, finally, how important is the need for a Calicivirus release at the moment? We spoke to the head of biosecurity Tasmania last week. He talked about the fact that it is in stock now. They're waiting. They just need the right conditions. How important will that be for farmers?
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very important. I think the wait has almost been a couple of years long, so it's great to know that we've got a plan and we're waiting for the right conditions, but it really can't come soon enough.
I appreciate you talking with us this morning, Nathan. Thank you.
Pleasure.